Hey, how's it going? This is Joe and Tell, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Monolith THX 10-inch subwoofer. So I wish I could just make this video and just say what I really want to say, which is this sub is a straight up beast. Alright, that's the end. Of course, that wouldn't be much of a review, so I'm going to have to go into a little bit more detail, and let's start off first with the build quality. So this thing, when I got it in, it was very heavy. I brought it in, I'm like, man, what's in this thing? This is a 10-inch sub? I've had 12 and 13-inch subs come in, and they weren't that heavy. And so part of that is because this is a ported one, but it's also because they're using HDF, so that stands for high density fiber board instead of MDF, which is medium density, and that makes it a little bit heavier of an enclosure. And so that's good because typically the heavier the enclosure, the less it's going to resonate. Or at least the point where it resonates is at a higher frequency, which is not a problem for subwoofers. It's also due to the fact that it has a beast magnet on the back of this woofer. This has internal bracing, which helps it from flexing when the woofer is flexing. The finish on this was the only one that I saw on their website, which is this black ash finish. Nothing wrong with it. It just kind of blends in, nothing shiny. It's fine. The other thing you'll notice is it has this different kind of octagonal beveled edge shape. Whether you like it or not, that's going to be up to you. For me, it's not my favorite. I'd prefer a rounded corner, but hey, it's a look. And the other thing that's heavy is the grill. It's a wood and cloth grill, and look at the thickness of this wood here. It's not thin, and so that helps protect it. There you go. This entire review, I'm going to refer to some of the subs that I've reviewed from SVS just because it's a very close comparison. SVS does have a metal grill, which I prefer. I think it just looks better, and it just kind of gives it a more premium look. This is a ported enclosure, although they do provide this plug to seal it up if you want to use it in that mode. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, because if you wanted a sealed one, you should have just bought a sealed. But if that's something you want to do, I choose to keep it out, and that's just the way I run it, but you have the option. So take a look at the driver on this thing. It's a straight up monster. The surround is huge, and that's what you need. You need a driver that can withstand a bunch of power. So this is using a 500 watt class D amplifier, which in my room is more than enough power. The amplifier and the woofer work very well together. I should have mentioned this first, but this subwoofer is $499, which is very affordable considering what it can do, and compared to some of the other ones, it's pretty much the least expensive subwoofer in this price category, meaning there are subwoofers that I've seen that are in the $99, $200, $300 price categories, but they don't do what this sub does, which is dig down real deep. So let's talk about the sound. The Monolith THX 10 is certified, as the name suggests, by THX. This one is THX Select, meaning that it's good for a 2,000 square foot room. One thing I like is that Monolith is not afraid to show measurements. They actually offer the CA2010, which is the standard for measuring subwoofers, right there on their website, so you can see exactly how it performs, compared to some other manufacturers that don't show that specification. If you don't know what CA2010 is, I'll leave a link to my buddy Aaron's video. He does a very in-depth rundown of what that means exactly and how it's done. As it shows on spec sheet, it's rated down to 18 Hz in the extended mode and 20 Hz in THX certified mode. In my room, I was able to get usable bass down to 16 Hz. What that means is this thing is ridiculous. 16 Hz is below human hearing, so you just feel stuff shaking. It just gets scary. Like, I'm in Southern California. I think somebody might think that that's an earthquake because you don't even hear anything. You just feel stuff shaking. It's nuts. I like it. The other thing that you'll notice is that this does have a flat response, which is good because that's what you want. It makes it easier to cross over from your main speakers to the subwoofer. I mean, your AVR typically takes care of that anyway, but the less that it has to do using its own DSP, the better. So that's how this is doing it. It has its own DSP built into it, and they did a good job tuning it. The output is good. I live here in an apartment, so I didn't really get to test it out and max it out. I'm sure in a larger room, maybe you might want to step up to their 12 or their 15 or their dual 15 Monolith, but in an apartment, believe me, if you have an apartment in Los Angeles, meaning 1,000 square feet and under, you're good. You're good to go. Your neighbors will already hate you even at lower volumes. This thing is just ridiculous. I don't know how else to explain it, but 16 hertz, it's more than enough. So let's talk about some of the features. As I said before, this does have DSP. That's how they're able to hit some of those lower frequencies, but also how they're able to get such a smooth response. The only issue that I have is that it doesn't come with an app like SVS and some of the other competitors, and that's just something for the people who like to tweak the system. You don't have the ability to do it with an app. You are able to do it with some of the dials and some of the switches on the back, but it's nice to have it on the app sometimes because you can do it from your couch. And that's something I like because it allows you to kind of mess with the settings while you're sitting in your listening position, as opposed to kind of crawling behind and trying to mess with the knobs in the back, but you still are able to do some of that. What this has that many others don't is XLR input and output. So if your AVR or speakers actually support that, it's handy because a lot of times you might have to place the sub kind of far away, and so RCA is kind of known for being able to pick up some interference if you're not using good cables. XLR, balanced XLR, is able to resist that for long runs, and so you can potentially get less noise that way. This does have an adjustable crossover from 40 Hz to 160 Hz. They have a phase knob, which I really like. I recommend that everybody look for a subwoofer with a phase knob instead of a 180-degree phase switch, because this can allow you to adjust it, fine-tune it from 0 to 180 degrees and everything in between. Like normal, you see a volume knob, typical on all subs, but this also has a way to bypass the crossover completely if you want to allow your AVR to do all the work. This does have auto on-off functionality, and you'll see the switch here for extended and THX mode. And so THX is a very strict specification. It only allows for a certain amount of total harmonic distortion, in which case they give you the option. You can either use that THX mode where, you know, it's adhering to their standards, or you can allow the sub to go a little bit deeper, extend a little further, play a little bit louder. But what you're going to sacrifice is you're going to have a little bit more total harmonic distortion. But whether you hear that or not is going to depend. I mean, everything else is going to be shaking. That's probably what you're going to hear. In the extended mode, it goes down to 17 Hz if you go by what the manual says, and 18 Hz if you look at what the website says. THX mode goes down to 20 Hz. Alright, so here we are at the subwoofer leaderboard, and we have the Monolith THX 10, and so it does fit right here in the under $500 category. Right now the SB2000 is up there. You know what, that's still a beast of a subwoofer. I would just have to say that this just has more output. I mean, for what I like, which is for movies, I think that it's gonna have to go on top. Now, if you like a sealed subwoofer, if you're looking for a small one, this is still a great sub. So don't take that as that this is not a good sub. It's just for my purposes, I prefer the THX 10 because of that extended output. Now, as far as best overall subwoofer, at the top we have the SB3000, and that's tough because this is a 13-inch woofer, and this is more powerful, and it's also a smaller sealed subwoofer. This is more than twice the price of the THX 10, but I would have to say, I mean, again, for my particular use case, I like that bass. It digs down really deep. I like a ported sub. I mean, I think if I were to compare an PB3000, I would say that would place higher than the THX 10 because it has app control and it has a nicer finish. You know, overall, I think it's a nicer looking subwoofer, but for my purposes, ported, I think this is the way to go. So there you have it. My overall conclusion is that this is the best bang for your buck subwoofer. You can spend less, but you're going to get a lot less. At this point, you can spend more, but you're not going to necessarily get that much more. I think it's that point where it's really the sweet spot, right? If you don't want to spend too much money, it gets my recommendation for $499. It's an awesome subwoofer for smaller rooms, mid-size rooms even. If you want to go to the larger models, they have those, and they also have sealed versions if you're the type who likes a sealed subwoofer, maybe for music, if you want that tighter bass. They do have that as an option as well. So where their money gets spent is really on the R&D, on the woofer, on the DSP, on the bracing, all the stuff that really matters. Where they sacrifice and where some of the other brands might have nicer enclosures, but you pay for all that, right? You pay for a nicer grill, you pay for, just an overall look, aesthetic. Maybe they have an app for it. And so if those things are important to you, then that's cool. You just have to know what you're getting in one case versus the other. It's not always the end result as far as sound quality. It's more that it just gives you extra features, which makes sense. At the end of the day, I can highly recommend these. Monoprice, you guys are on a roll. Keep sending me stuff as long as it's awesome. So anyway, that is it. If you guys have any questions about this particular sub, leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. And please check out my Patreon page. I have some stuff on there that's exclusive to my patrons, and we're constantly building and improving and putting stuff on there and just making it a better experience for those guys. And so make sure to check it out if you're interested in something like that. Patreon.com/Joe and Tell. Anyway, that's it. Take care. Bye-bye.